We did not see a caregiver for 20 minutes. And frankly, I wasn't even thinking about a market. I was just thinking, how can we help our patients better? How can we give seniors a better quality of life at the end of their life?
What's interesting about the model you guys are doing is the idea of like luxury assisted living.
Oh yeah, when I first came across this, I dived headfirst into it, loving it. It's just new and unique. We shopped around at least 15 places.
Would I want to put them in our local homes? The answer is no. So, hey, why don't we do it ourselves?
Welcome back to the Hybrid Real Estate Professional Podcast, the show where we dive into how professionals are building wealth, solving problems, and creating impact through real estate and entrepreneurship without burning up their lives in the process. I'm your host, Aaron Amin, and today's guests are my dear friends, Dr. Chloe Kilman and Nick Blanchard, co-founders of Bloom Homes Assisted Living. Dr. Kilman is a double board certified family physician and geriatrician who teaches at the University of Mississippi Medical Center and the Mind Center. She's a true subject matter expert when it comes to dementia care and has a bold vision for how to bring her knowledge into the vision she and Nick have for Bloom Homes. Nick is a U.S. Air Force veteran and operations quality control professional who will now bring his leadership experience and system skills to the senior care industry. Together, they're building a 16-bed memory care mansion just outside Jackson, Mississippi. If that sounds slightly familiar, then I have a fun fact for you. Chloe and Nick were the ones who actually introduced my wife Andrea and I to the memory care mansion model last year. We've met with them in a small pod with other assisted living developers every week for the last year. It's been incredible to support each other in our journeys to tackle the senior care housing shortage, one bed at a time. Chloe, Nick, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
I've been looking forward to this. It's funny, Chloe, I actually first heard your voice and saw your name on another podcast you did with our friend Dr. Alex Schlow, the Physicians and Property podcast. And then about 2 weeks later, we joined the RAL Room when they were launching the mastermind, and we got assigned to a pod with you. I was like, hey, I know that person. The power of podcasts, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited.
Of course.
We've been working just as hard as you guys on this project for so long now, and it's really fun to share it.
Yeah, so I gave a little, bit of your guys' bio in the intro there, but maybe back up a little bit because you have had a journey into RAL. Would love to hear just, from your professional background, like kind of what gave you the idea to pursue this?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, I remember the first time I heard about RAL was about December of 2022. I heard another physician on a different podcast, but a doctor's, and it's not Dr. Schlow's podcast, but it's a different podcast with doctors doing real estate ventures. And I remember thinking, that sounds really, really interesting. I'm a geriatrician, so I see patients 65 and up, and I see a lot of patients with dementia. And typically there's a shortage of beds, and the beds that we do have in our town and neighboring towns is, a lot of them are fantastic, but then sometimes I'll see a patient come into my clinic who maybe lives at one of these places and maybe they fell and were not found for several hours, unfortunately. Or maybe they come into my clinic and the family says, they're just not taking great care of mom at the X place. And so kind of that combined with us kind of wanting to do something different and kind of make more of a difference in our community, plus hearing about this option, it was like, all the pieces just kind of came together for us, and we thought we should pursue this. So it's 3 years in the making, but we've come a long way since then. Certainly made some progress.
Sure have.
Absolutely. So you obviously have a very unique purview from your profession, right? You've seen a lot of what works, what doesn't work, and you have a really advanced knowledge of dementia care and best practices, subject that you're already passionate about. So it seems like you guys kind of saw that, hey, there's a hole or a gap in the market.
Yes.
And there's a shortage and maybe we can do something about it, right?
Yes, absolutely. And frankly, I wasn't even thinking about a market. I was just thinking, how can we help our patients better? How can we give seniors a better quality of life at the end of their life? And then, of course, somebody like me, I see this every day in my clinic. So thinking ahead about Nick's parents and, our grandparents and things like that, and would I want to put them in our local homes? And for the most part, that answer is no. So, hey, why don't we do it ourselves?
What's interesting about the model you guys are doing, right, which we're obviously now very familiar with ourselves, is, it's the idea of like a luxury assisted living. You talk about supply demand shortage. There's, a need for X number of beds to meet the demand for senior care, but this luxury kind of top end of the market is a different product than kind of what a traditional nursing home, or when somebody who isn't immersed in this like we are thinks about a nursing home, they think about a more of a facility. But this model has a really home-like environment and all that. And I'm curious, with what about that jumped out to you guys as like, hey, we want to go to this type of luxury model?
Right. I guess because it does have the nice home feeling of being an assisted living. You're not going into a large facility that looks like an institution or maybe even a school. Some of these are just like cinder block walls with a door, and that's their room. That's kind of impersonal, not a homey touch.
Sterile. Yeah.
So we want to provide something that is a familiar look when throughout their life is a home environment, and that's what we're going to be providing.
Awesome.
And because it's smaller, it's not the sort of typical big box facility that all these people have, heard about and don't necessarily want to be in. It's a lot more personalized care. There's much better caregiver to patient ratios or resident ratios. I need to change patient to resident in my mind. But the caregiver ratio is much better. There's a lot more oversight, a lot more assistance, a lot more personalization. Our caregivers really would get to know these patients and know their likes and their dislikes. And who maybe they get along with in the home, and who maybe they might want to spend less time with, or what foods they may like, or what their previous career was, and how can we tailor their activities to things that they enjoy. So I think that just the much smaller field just gives a lot better opportunity for more personalized care.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've enjoyed so much about this project is Andrea and I have a chance to work together, husband and wife, and have like a new dimension to our partnership. Can you share kind of like how you guys, it must be a new and interesting journey, trying to build a business together, but what are the kind of roles that each of you has in the business? And then, has it been like also kind of working together at that level?
Yeah, excellent questions. Some people, when I tell them we're doing this, they're like, oh my gosh, I could never, work with my spouse on something like this. But number one, I think we've always been really good friends, and that, obviously is a foundation of a good relationship of any type, but particularly a romantic or a business partnership. And so it kind of just works well. We also share a lot of values. We share a lot of dreams that we have for our future, and doing this type of business is going to allow us to have some of that freedom to spend time together. I'm not saying you don't drive me crazy sometimes, but for the most part, I think we really enjoy each other's company, and we're good teammates because he has strengths and things that I don't, and vice versa. So I'll be kind of more of the medical oversight person and maybe a little more involved in operations. I don't know. I think we'll both do operations. But when it's come to, sort of like coming up with how to build, how to be more mechanically minded, Nick has really taken to this, and he's shown me sides of himself that I didn't know were there. Just kind of watching him grow and take this on as a passion project has been really interesting. So like he's taught himself how to make websites. He's taught himself how to use Canva and do all of our digital marketing. Both of us are introverts, believe it or not. And so we've had to go to these networking events, to kind of get to know, not had to go, but we've wanted to go to learn about different people in different environments, different businesses. How can we all help each other? How can we make those personal connections? It's been interesting. I think he's a little bit more introverted than I am. I've had to learn to be a little more extroverted at work. But it's really nice to see you kind of come out of your shell and be, much more of like a people person and just interactive with folks.
Right. Yes. And also doing this project together, it's a really great bonding time for me and Chloe. Like it's brought us together. I feel we're even stronger now than we were before because we're doing something mutually together and for a goal that we want to do.
Yeah, I feel like it's the goal in a marriage, right? You want to empower each other to kind of be the best version of yourself possible. I'm sure some things that you're both strong at, but there's areas where you can balance each other out. And by allowing each other to take the role that, feels most natural to you and plays to your strengths, you guys are able to empower each other. And that's a really, I think, powerful dynamic for a business that has as much complexity. There's a lot going on, right? It's definitely more than one person's worth of work. And so if you guys found the role and the dynamic where you can support each other that way, I think it can really strengthen the project over the long haul, which it is a long haul, right? Like this isn't just something that you set up and then it runs by itself. Like this is a long journey from developing to going through all the construction and then actually at the end of
Yeah.
all that sprint, you're rewarded with a business that runs 24/7, 365. Have you
Mhm.
guys kind of, gamed out, looked ahead? Like what are the kind of lifestyle considerations or costs of, once this business is up and running?
Yeah, so we both currently work full time. I work days, he works nights. He doesn't work weekends. I do work some weekends. I worked this weekend. And typically one weekend a month, I would say. And that's Saturday and Sunday, all these days in a row. So we're kind of primed to be hard workers.
Yeah.
We're definitely, doing it now. It is tough to balance with kids and life and hobbies and projects and other things that we're interested in. I think the plan is really for us to both be in the home, a lot when it's getting up and running. Of course, I'll still be working full time. Nick will be as well. But we'll kind of take turns. We also want to hire a manager to help us from the outset, to really kind of be there and do like the day to day. So hopefully after the first 6 months or so, we can kind of back out of the home just a little bit and do a little bit more supervision. They say work on your business, not in your business. And then eventually we'd love to build 2 more if everything goes well in a few years. So that's kind of our plan. We'll have a manager, we'll have caregivers around the clock, we'll have a chef, and then of course a few other key people that we'll hire, things like bookkeepers, marketers, and such. But still, relatively small operation.
Right. Yeah. And we've been taking a course to certify our home as a Teepa Snow certified home in her style of dementia care. And that's what we don't want to bring to our home is that type of style of care. And it's a really different approach than these bigger facilities have. So that's something that would be more attractive for these homes.
You have a very unique perspective. You're a subject matter expert in dementia care. You speak and teach about it. You've come into the communities that we're in and shared even just the overview level is more than most people know. And you have a much deeper understanding of kind of how to work with people that are dealing with that. And that, in and of itself should be a differentiator in your home because not everyone knows how to serve people that are dealing with that. And part of what I think attracted all of us to the memory care mansion model was that even everything down to the finishes and the colors and everything is designed for
Yes.
memory care. Can you maybe explain a little more about like what are some of these kind of purpose-built considerations that you guys will have in the home for memory care?
Absolutely. So your wife, actually, Andrea, who we're also good friends with, posted recently on LinkedIn about how you really have to engage the senses when you're dealing with memory care patients because dementia is so interesting. For some reason, you can't remember things that maybe just happened, but all those old memories from your childhood are still there. So things like music that you remember from back in the day, scents, the feel of the sun coming through the windows, all of those things we still remember and we can still take a lot of pleasure in. And actually, it's interesting. People will hear music and suddenly they know all the words. You don't know what you ate yesterday. I don't know what I ate yesterday either. But the point is that for whatever reason, those longer term and those sensory memories still remain. And so we plan to tailor our home towards them as well. We also have like very particular heights of the tables, the chairs, dimensions as far as, how to get to the toilet paper, the shower. We have, similar to y'all's build, we have 2 wings, which are kind of shorter wings so that the residents on either side will have easy access to the center of the home where everybody will congregate. And so it's less walking, it's hopefully less confusion and things like that. We've tailored the pink colors, the lighting, the floors are specifically meant to reduce falls and things like that. So we've really thought of every little tiny detail.
And
We've
the
got
natural
some
light.
good tech. You know about the tech
Yes.
to monitor, different things like vital signs, if somebody needs to be changed, for example, and things like that. So yeah, we've really thought about every single detail functionally, and then how it's going to work in everybody's day-to-day routine.
Yeah, there's kind of a balancing act, right? So you have to consider all these different factors. And then, of course, like as we're sitting here, you're scoping and budgeting for this multi-million-dollar project. There's a cost to everything. And so it can be to get all the features and the finishes and everything that you might want to really make the thing kind of pop off the page. It costs a lot of money. So I know, Nick, especially that's something where you've been really deep in the design and working with the architects and going back and forth a lot. Can you explain a little bit of that process and how you're kind of taking some of this vision and all these different features and actually bringing it to life, like within the budget and the timeline that you guys have?
Sure, yeah. We set up a spreadsheet with going through like pretty much each room, how many cans of paint that it'd take, and find out cost per gallon, and breaking it down to that small of a detail, all the way to the light fixtures and what type of light fixtures we're going to do, breaking out how many we need throughout the house, and all the amenities there that are required. So breaking it out into that, we can bring it to our builder, and the builder can see that, and it gives him time to focus on other stuff, because he already knows, oh, okay, this is already taken care of. Thank you for bringing this to me. We can add that into how much he needs to price out for the bids.
And work on trying to get the best deals, for the best materials.
Right. Yeah. He's also done value engineering. He already brought up a few things that he can help and save on costs, because he's in the business and he knows the business, and that's always great. You find somebody that knows what you're talking about, because he's just recently built a 16-bed memory care facility about an hour and a half north of us. It's not a high-end one, but it's still a nice one. So he knows what he's talking about when we bring these questions to him.
It can be difficult to actually bring all those details and get an architect and a builder to bring this stuff to life and actually fit it to a dollar amount. And then even when you do that, prices change all the time. You have to lock down different subcontractors, coordinate a lot of different moving pieces. And so I think that's just an interesting dimension of this project that a lot of people might not understand, just how hard it is, especially compared to even a residential, like a small residential development project. Like these are 10,000 square foot, like big houses with so many components. And so maybe also talk about some of the support network, right? Like this, I think we're all of the mind not to reinvent the wheel ourselves. You guys are working directly, with partners and people who have done this before. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So we're working with Brett and Laura Shotkavis, who have sort of coined the term memory care mansion. They're out in Georgetown, Texas. And of course, we all kind of work with them, but we all work with each other too. And we're also a part of the Rail Room Mastermind, which is an amazing group. I feel like we've got the best of all the worlds by being involved in all these different things. And it's not overlapping. It's just each group, I would say, has its own strength. And so Brett and Laura have been, of course, instrumental, because they created this model. And then they've also created exactly how to build this mansion. They've given us templates. They've given us different worksheets on exactly what you need to build it, how to run it, how to get it, how to start working on getting it funded, how to do all the different things, how to get it licensed, who to look for your contractors, who to look for your caregivers, et cetera. And so for us, even though we've known about this model for 2.5 years, it's been really beneficial to get them on board. I guess about 1.5 years ago is when we started working with them, just to kind of speed up our process. It kind of seems like, oh gosh, we've been working on it 3 years and we're still not there. But this is a huge undertaking. We're trying to project manage. You just, alluded to the fact that we're kind of wearing all these different hats every single day. One day we're calling the city. Maybe later that day we're calling a bookkeeper. Maybe we have a call with a tax prep person, somebody who makes these specialized floors. It's just like so many different hats, so many different contacts, the fire marshal. It really does take a village, as they say, when it comes to like raising kids. But when it comes to raising a big project like this for the community, it really takes a village of everybody. And we've really tried to leverage that expertise, I'd say, best we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The way, I've always thought about mentorship is, you mentioned speed, right? That working with them could help speed the process up. But there's also an element of, when you see somebody that's doing something that you want to do and they're doing it well, you want to replicate it to the best ability you can, because it works. And so there's also an avoiding mistakes, right? So this development process, going to find land, there's all sorts of stuff you have to consider that to the untrained eye or someone who hasn't done it before, we don't know what to look for. So even just having, Brett and his team, right? Like they have construction consultants, they have people that can come in and look at the same plot of land. You might see it and see no problems, and they might see something right away and say, oh, that's actually, going to be a big problem, or that's going to either
Yes.
cost a ton of money to remediate or it's not going to be possible. And they can see things that you can't. And by avoiding mistakes, you not only save money, but you also save time, right? Because you can really get your wheels spinning if you end up focusing on the wrong thing or staying locked up on a piece of land too long. So I do think that working with proven models and also just being able to see the vision, right? Like that, by being able to see Brett and Laura's mansions, you can show the physical product. When you're talking to other people, you can show them, this is what we're doing. We're building this exact building. It's going to look like this. It's going to feel like this. There really is, a lot of advantage to having people like that on your team. And one theme of what you guys have said so far, you guys aren't alone at all, right? You have the strength of your partnership and your skill sets, but you're also surrounded by other people that are either doing this or like are in the process of learning to do it. And so just that osmosis, you've been at it for, you said, a little over 2 years. I can only imagine how much you've been able to learn and just by being in those environments. Can you talk about like a couple of, anything else from that kind of experience that you feel stuck out to you in preparing for this journey?
I feel kind of like it's like learning a new language. We don't have any real estate background. I know you guys do. We don't have any business background. You guys do. So we might bring medical and leadership skills. But otherwise, all of this is like learning a brand new language, and it's fascinating.
Yes.
And it's actually, interestingly, it's good for our brains because it can help prevent dementia by learning new skills. So that's kind of part of why we were like, oh, well, this will be a fun project. We get to learn all these new different things, and it's good for us cognitively. But yeah, I guess the biggest thing that stood out is just like everything that's involved and all the different things that we've been able to learn. All the amazing people that we've come across that have helped us, how to overcome hurdles. That's certainly been a big, it's kind of a little bit of a roller coaster. You have a really good day. Oh, I met with the Department of Health and they're really excited about it. And then the next day, maybe you find out how much something else costs. And then the next day you figure, oh, I'm going to get a little bit of help with this. It really is like just a lot of ups and downs and kind of learning how to pivot and navigate around and make other choices if needed.
Right. And working in these two groups here with the Row Room Mastermind and with the Mansion Builders, we see people at different stages throughout the builds. So we can learn from their mistakes and reach out to them
Yes.
and see what they've done to correct that. And it really helps, and it helps us streamline on how we want to do things.
Absolutely. And just get different ideas from each other. Like I'm learning from Andrea all the time. And I think we're all learning from each other, but the being in different stages part helps too. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
there's
sure.
kind of layers of support, right? You have your mentors who you're working with, who they have the model, they have a lot of the, even like the documents and systems that you guys can adapt to your business. Then you have the mastermind group where there's other operators and all sorts of different perspectives you're getting, different professionals. And then you even have like, the pod and the support that we're in, where we meet every single week and we're all weighing in and sharing we're at relatively similar points in the process, and we're able to share with each other. And I would argue help each other avoid a lot of, unfortunate situations or learn from each other's experience. And between all those layers, when going gets tough, at least that you have all these different areas of support. And I know I can only speak for ourselves, right? It's made an enormous difference there are plenty of moments in a journey this long where you might feel like you want to give up. And it's having those support networks and the trusted folks who are going through a similar journey that really like help you weather the path. At least that's how I felt.
Absolutely. And that I would say has probably been my favorite part of this journey.
Yes.
It's like meeting you guys and meeting everybody else in the pod and the different groups to help each other. That's been amazing.
Yes, having somebody there that's not your significant other to say you can do this, you've got it, is really helpful.
You're saying that if somebody other than your significant other tells you something, you're more likely to hear it? Breaking news.
That is what he just said.
Yep.
That's funny. Well, so I know, so it's been about a 2-year journey. We talked about some of the stuff leading into it, the different layers of support you have. What about what lies ahead? What's kind of the next, phase of this project? Where are you guys at? And what's coming up?
So for us, we've bought our land, which is amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. We hope to build 3 mansions, one first, and then in a few years, another couple. It's 4.5 acres. We have gotten our architectural plans adapted from Brett and Laura's model. We are actually this week on Thursday going to the county to do our architectural review meeting. And then 2 weeks after that, we have a hearing with the city. The public can come and say, they like the idea or they don't. But we are zoned commercial, so we feel like hopefully that meeting will go pretty well. Excuse me. And then after that, we're kind of simultaneously working on our funding. So we've put quite a bit of money into the project. We're looking for some investors to come on that we can offer really good returns to, better than the stock market, better than a lot of real estate deals out there. We're hoping some folks will come and want to partner with us. And we're also talking with some lenders right now to go ahead and work on securing our loan once we have that investment money. It's a lot of steps, but I feel like we're right on the precipice of breaking ground, which is an amazing feeling. Like, okay, we're doing it. It's real now. It's really happening. So that's an exciting place to be. Nerve-wracking, exciting though.
Having spent, pretty much the last year with you guys, so consistently meeting and watching all the progress, it's amazing, right? Like you build up to kind of this crescendo where you've got the plans, you've got the vision, you've got the land, you got all the ingredients for the recipe, and now it's really at the final stage of like turning it into the full platter, if you will. And
Yes.
It's incredible because you reach this point of almost critical mass or a boiling point where all the money's got to come in, and then once the actual construction loan funds, then it becomes real, right? And now it's not an idea on a paper. This is a real physical, tangible asset, that will not only add value to your community, but then ultimately serve all the seniors once it's open. And you guys, like you said, you are right on that precipice. So what is can you explain a little bit for someone who would be considering investing, like what would they be investing in? The business, the real estate, how does that kind of work?
I'll let you take that one.
Right. Yeah. We want to bring in somebody, preferably if it'd be one big investor would be excellent. Bring them in and they'd get a share of the operations and the real estate once we refi out after 5 or so years, when everything's all stabilized. And then that way we can go ahead because we need to refinance to fund our other 2 homes to be built.
Awesome. So the idea is that you get somebody to come in and help with that kind of initial funding. They're going to get a return. They're going to get a piece of equity in the real estate and the business. And then when you go to eventually refinance it, they would get a payday at that time.
That's right.
Correct.
Yes. A nice payday.
A nice one. I like it.
Yes. A really nice one.
What's interesting in a lot of projects of this magnitude is that oftentimes the real estate and the value of the real estate is the largest driver of returns. But in this case, it's an operating business too. And it's one, even with 16 beds, the bed rates are pretty substantial, and it's not a very high margin business, but it is a very profitable business from a dollar standpoint. And so you can generate these great returns because you have the value, you're creating a really nice house, you're developing raw land, and you're putting a business that has pretty high income potential together, and you're putting those two together. So somebody that's investing in that kind of combination of the real estate and the business, it's unique when compared to multifamily or storage or even other types of real estate deals. And so I like to point that out because I think people think of it as real estate, but it's really a business with real estate behind it.
That's right. Yeah, it's a nice hybrid of those two things.
Yeah. What do you guys feel are the biggest concerns or areas of risk in this process, whether it's the construction, the operations? Like, what are the areas that you're most concerned about? And then kind of how are you tackling those areas?
Great question.
Yeah.
What can you think of?
Like all this is new to us. So there's lots of questions of, we come to the RAL room asking questions about this, these various things from how do we go about raising funds? Who do we reach out to? How do we talk to the banks about SBA lending? And there's just different steps and levels. So being new, there's a lot of questions out there that we're asking and wanting to find out about. But yeah, what would you say?
But we've had so much help and support each step of the way,
Yes.
like if we do come across that question. For me, I think my biggest concern is making sure we get those top-notch caregivers in
Yes.
place. because that is really going to be the most important aspect of care, right? You know, we do have this beautiful home, we have this beautiful building, but really if you have a beautiful building and no good people to work in it, and help other people, you know, with their daily functions, it's not super useful. And I'll say that's what we've seen in our community. We've seen some much smaller mom and pop type situations that maybe they're not the nicest home, but they have people who really care and give their full heart. And then on the flip side, we have these big box communities, which are gorgeous, but then you walk in and you don't see a caregiver for 20 minutes. So we're really trying to meld the two and have the best of both. But if I had to choose one, caregiving, of course, would be my number one. Not really concerned because it is a concern, of course, because you want to find people with the heart, and they are kind of rare. You know, people who actually want to go above and beyond and have the heart for seniors. It's not easy work. It's really tough. But we are prepared to reward them very well, pay them very well, treat them like family. And in return, we feel like, you know, you have people who enjoy their work. And so to me, that's the most important aspect. And being in healthcare, I know a lot of people. So I've already got my eyes on a few people that I'd love to bring into the home to help us with this project.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're very uniquely positioned to attract the right type of person who does have that big heart and also has probably at least some knowledge of this subject, right? It's a very specific thing on how to serve people dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia. And you teach about that, right? And so there's probably a lot of people in your orbit that would be even interested in an opportunity like that.
Yes.
And even though you still have a ways to go with the construction before you open, like you said, you're already kind of thinking ahead to who might I hire, and if that person's not available, at least I know kind of the type of person I might want to hire.
That's right.
Agree. That is kind of the biggest ongoing concern, you know, for a business like this is, yeah, the construction, you need that to go off well. You need it to stay to budget, but you guys have, like you said, a team in place that's going to help you get there. You got the right experts at the table, and you guys are, you know, putting all your heart and soul into making sure that part lands. Once that lands, you have a 24/7, 365 business. And to your point, the staff and the caretakers, they're your brand ambassadors. They're the ones, you can't be there 24/7, 365. So making those right hires and then building the culture and retaining them, that's the special sauce. And I do think you guys have a really cool advantage there just by virtue of what you do and how active you already are in your community. So
Fingers crossed.
yeah. Nick, I have a question for you. So I know you have operations and systems kind of in, you know, your background. Sounds like both in the military and outside. How are you finding the parallels between the past experience and then some of the systems you're building in this business? And are you enjoying that role in this business?
Oh yeah. When I first came across this, I dived in headfirst into it, loving it. You know, it's just so new and unique. Just learning everything I could, watching videos on how to do this, how to use these different tools, and you know, a GIS map. What was that? Oh, researching that. Now, you know, I can find a GIS map and locate land real easily. So that's something that I'll always have and know about now. Really helpful. Then you know, just bringing everything together that I know how to do and presenting it, you know, and helping our business here grow and get off. It's just been really fun and helpful. And I reached out to, and something I normally don't do, and made connections with a bunch of people, you know, a bunch of people in this realm, in this business, that through what I've learned.
Yeah. No, it's great. And I know, again, behind the scenes working with Nick a lot, like you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty and get, like, you know, really into a financial model or the bank loans type. And like, there's so many details. It's almost an excruciating amount of details, and all the decisions are pretty high stakes, right? We're talking about big numbers, like quite a lot of money. Like you said, you've already invested a lot of your own money. Like, there's a lot at stake in this project. And so having the endurance and the ability to pay attention to those details and actually enjoy it. I think that's one thing in talking to you guys is that you both enjoy the parts of this business that you're engaging in. Chloe, you have this big vision for how you can serve seniors and how you can take all this stuff from your profession and bring it into this business. Nick, same thing. Like, you've got the passion for making the business hum and operate and everything connected the way it needs to. And then, of course, in the framing of, you guys have this strong partnership, both personal and professional, that you're now able to bring into the business. I think that's that's one of the things that will, really make it stand the test of time, is that you're playing to each other's zone of genius, and then you're supporting each other. And then anything you don't know, you've identified the right places to go, whether it's your mentors or your network, to help fill in those gaps and support you for the long haul. Do you guys have a plan to bring in anybody else onto the team, or how do you see this kind of moving forward? You mentioned managers. Like, what are the other kind of key players involved in the process?
Manager for sure, the caregivers, of course, the chef.
The chef. Eventually, somewhere along the ways, we'd want to get an assistant manager, help out the manager. Then that would be by probably promoting a caregiver that shows above and beyond what they need to do. That's a leadership role that they could take place.
So create a culture where you can allow people to develop from within and try and, like you said, pay competitively, treat them well, create a good culture where they want to stick around, and then provide them potentially a path to grow if they want to.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then grow with us as we may be able to build these other two in a few years. I know with Brett and Laura, they have 2 managers for 2 of their homes, but now they're building 4 more. Or no, they had 1, and then they're building 4 more. And they took those 2 managers from the first home, and they're kind of having them be managers of the other managers of the home. So it's kind of an interesting growth structure, but they're keeping those integral people with them and promoting them from within. And I think it's easier to do that than it is to hire somebody who has a ton of experience. You can't teach heart, but if you find somebody maybe who doesn't have experience but has the heart and the desire to grow and learn and the ability to grow and learn, that's an easier person to work with and develop over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you tell us a little bit about your local market there? So that's, obviously I think it's relatively easy for people to picture this idea of a nice luxury assisted living home, but it matters where it is, right? And obviously you guys know your local market better than anybody else listening to this. What can you tell us about the area and kind of why you chose the specific place you did?
I'll just say, I'll let you take that. But first, why I like it is it's just down the road from where we live. So it's about a mile from where we live.
Yeah, that helps.
And we also happen to live, it's also kind of off of a main road, which is a super busy, trafficy road. And my clinic is on the other side of that road. We're in this community. Our kid goes to Boy Scouts down the road. I bought my wedding dress across the street. It's just such a nice, cozy little area, but it's developing. You could probably speak more to that.
Yes, it is developing. It's branching out. It is a suburb of Jackson, the capital of Mississippi, just a suburb of it. And it's also located right on the largest body of water here is the Ross Barnett Reservoir. It's just across the street from it, really. So we're by a nice piece of land. There's a lot of nice houses through here. A lot of well developed land, and it's expanding. It's just this area is it's expanding, growing outward. So we see it as an opportunity to bring this home in here for the future growth
for our community. Yeah.
Yes.
And you said you did a lot of looking at the competitors, and they're mostly full, or they're lacking some of the features or the quality of care and all that. So you've kind of validated that, hey, there's plenty of demand for the what we're bringing in, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes. We shopped around at least 15 places, went in and toured these places and seen what they offered, how full they were, and wait list, and how long of a timeline that they had. So we've got a feel of all the local ones.
Staffing and things. Yeah, that was a real story. We did walk into one of the memory care facilities where 2 of my patients live, actually, and we did not see a caregiver for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just heartbreaking, So we know there's a need. And just having the current ones be full, helped reinforce that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have a really interesting story of how you actually bought the land. I would love to, maybe whatever portion of that you're willing to share. I thought it was really creative and unique how you guys went about finding that, if you're willing to share.
Yeah, we are, learning that GIS map there, that was great research. And just locating different areas of land. But we really liked this piece of land that was over by us. And that was probably our very first choice. but we put it on the back burner, and we were looking
Yeah,
at
we thought, no way we can get that.
yeah. Yeah. So we shopped
It's
around
too
and
perfect.
looking around, but eventually we circled back around and decide, hey, let's call on this land and just see what they're offering. So we reached out and talked to the landowner, and he was really interested in what we were wanting to build on there. So we set up a meeting with him and went over, I guess, met with him multiple times, going over what we wanted to build and our future and our dream of what's going to be there. And he really jumped on board and really liked it, and supported us. So we were able to set up a deal that we both liked, and we're able to purchase the land.
He
Yeah,
was trying to sell it for a really long time, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. And we met with him over the course of several months, several times, because originally he did not want to just sell the land to anybody.
Right.
So it's in this little partnership, it's him and two other men. And I think they all kind of grew up together. And one of the men in the group is in his 80s and kind of wanting to retire. But the man that we were speaking with was very interested in maybe becoming an investor in our project originally. And I think he still is, but eventually at kind of toward the end of our talks, I think his partner, the older one in particular, got a little restless and was like, let's go ahead and sell this. Let's just do it. I don't want to get involved in any other business deals. And so he kind of had to say, okay, well, we're not in it as investors, but we'd still love to sell it to you. So we still feel really grateful. But at that point, we didn't know we were going to have to kind of hit the ground running. So we went to our local bank, and luckily we were able to get our loan for that pretty quickly. But I think we just got lucky on that.
Yeah.
But there's something in there, right? Like, what you're doing is extremely non-controversial, right? Nobody's going to be really pushing back, especially if there's already a shortage for a good, like a senior care solution. Almost anybody has had a family member or somebody that's dealt with something that hits close to this topic. So it's interesting because of how long they were trying to sell that land. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it literally like 10 plus years?
Yeah, I think they owned it since the 80s, I want to say.
I don't know that they were actively trying to sell it for 10 years, though.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I think they were sitting on it for a little while.
They sat on it for quite a while.
But I guess
Yeah.
one of them was getting older and was time to sell it.
Yeah.
And they did want to sell it to somebody that was going to do good on the land and not put a gas station there or a car wash or something. And it is zones, and in the zoning it specifically says assisted living. So that's something that we're like, wow, this is amazing. This is probably meant for us to purchase this piece of land. And
Yeah, it's amazing
he-
how it worked out. And again, to your point, you built a relationship over months. You actually sat down. They could see you and see the way you think.
Yes.
Whether it's the seller of a land, whether it's a bank, whether it's an investor, one of the things that I've come to realize about this process is that people are really investing in you. And it might sound obvious or from the outside, but people want to know how you think. They want to know when facing tough decisions, like, are you able to put your heads together and solve it? Like, can you push through the tough moments of growth and discomfort? And ultimately, like, every single milestone along this path, especially for you guys over the last couple of years, has each been like expanding and pushing and pushing. And you keep, proving to yourselves over and over again, like, what you're capable of. And there's still a lot ahead, but like, I'm sure that, as you keep going through this kind of battle test, hopefully you guys are, I imagine, feeling stronger as you go. At least that's kind of the experience I had. Do you guys feel at least a little bit of that?
I'd say for the most part, there, we have a couple of bad days where something doesn't go our way and I feel kind of defeated, but he'll cheer me up and say, we've still got it. We've got this, this, and this in our favor, or vice versa. I think we just help kind of support each other. And then of course you guys and we all support each other. But yeah, there's been some tough days. I can't lie about that, but it does seem like we're getting closer and closer to our goal. And that has momentum, which really makes a difference.
The impact behind what you're trying to do, I think, is, when there are those tough days, when there is, this friction or really, frankly, when you just get tired, right? Like sometimes it's like, hey, we've been working so hard. You have your full-time jobs. You have this project that has a lot of, weight and responsibility behind it. Sometimes you just aren't feeling it, right? But I think the fact that you guys have such a strong purpose and connection to the impact that you plan to make in your community, and you see the support and the attention that, when you talk to, again, those sellers or the people that are watching and cheering on from the sideline, that hopefully is an empowering thing. And you guys are, right on the edge, like you said, of starting the next exciting phase of the project. And then it'll really come to life and the community is going to really buy in. And it's just, it's so fun to watch.
Definitely. We have some big plans for that stage.
Yes.
Soon as we can get there.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys sitting down for this conversation. Like I said, it's been such a pleasure to be part of your guys' journey and watch you bring this whole thing to life. And there are some exciting times ahead. If people want to get in touch with you, to learn about the opportunity or just to support or get in touch, where can they find you? What's the best place?
Bloom Homes Assisted Living?
Yes. Yeah, we have a website there, bloomhomesassistedliving.com. We're on Facebook, Bloom Homes Assisted Living.
Instagram, LinkedIn. And we're happy to share our personal emails if that's of interest to anybody. So mine's chloekilman@gmail.com. And Nick is in Blanchard700@gmail.com. So we would welcome any kind of inquiries about anything, even if you just have some questions about what we're doing and want to kind of figure out a way for you to do it yourself. That'd be great. We love making friends with everybody in this community who's doing it. I feel like we've been really lucky to make so many friends all across the country. And I say this, I think every time I speak about this, it's hard making adult friends. And so to me, this has just been major. It's just been a really fun social part as well.
Yeah, somebody that's passionate in this.
Yeah, and like developing your own community, your own tribe, I guess is what some people would say. So we're also really grateful for meeting you guys, and we're grateful for the opportunity to be here and to speak and for you to have us on to tell our story and share with other folks. So thank you for taking the time to do that.
Yes.
The feeling is mutual, and it's an honor to have you guys on. I'm excited to see where you take it from here. So
thank you.
We'll make sure all those
your
contact info and everything is in the show notes. If anybody's watching this or listening, just follow along and reach out to Chloe and Nick. They've got something exciting brewing, and I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. So with that, thank you guys, and we'll do it again soon.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for making it to the end of today's episode. As you may know, podcasts are very difficult to grow organically. If you're getting value from today's episode, I'd deeply appreciate if you can take 30 seconds to leave my show a 5-star rating and review. This will go a long way to helping me reach more listeners just like you. Thank you so much in advance.